Hello, this is Mr. Wolf, and we are continuing to read Fred Korematsu Speaks Up, written by Laura Atkins and Stan Yogi, illustrated by Yutaka Houlette, and published by Hayday Books. In the description below you will find a link where you can purchase your own copy of Fred Korematsu Speaks Up. And just a heads up, similar to a previous chapter, there are words in this chapter that I personally don't feel comfortable saying out loud. When we come to them, they will be on the page, but I will be saying blank instead. So we are on to Chapter 4. Exploding, 1941. At 22, Fred is in love with his dreamboat Ida, daughter of Italian immigrants. Their families disapprove because Fred is Japanese-American and Ida is Italian-American. But Fred loves Ida, and Ida loves Fred, so they date in secret. There are rumblings in the world. War is spreading. The United States hasn't entered yet, but the country is preparing for the possibility. Fred tries to join the military, to help fight for his country, but he is rejected. So Fred looks for another way to support the United States. He finds a job as a welder, melting metal to build ships. He saves his wages to buy a Pontiac car, a swanky ride for him and Ida. Fred is good at the work. His slim body slips into small spaces, squeezing between the double bottoms of boats. But he gets fired from his job for being Japanese-American. Fear is building. Ugly words, blank go home, no room for blanks, are smeared on shops and houses. Hatred for anyone who looks like Fred. Fred asks Ida to marry him, and she says yes. His dreams spread out in front of him. Marriage, a family. December 7th, 1941. A bright Sunday morning. The sun shines on Fred and Ida, parked in the Oakland Hills. They read comics in the newspaper and listen to songs on the radio. Then the music stops. A voice cuts in. Bombs have rained down on the Navy base called Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Japanese pilots have killed American soldiers. Fred's stomach goes tight. He is worried that the Empire of Japan would do something crazy like this. He drops Ida off and rushes home to find his family huddled around the radio. His mother is in tears. Within hours, President Roosevelt declares all Japanese immigrants over 14 years old alien enemies. What will happen now? And we have two photographs. A ship called the USS Arizona burns in Pearl Harbor. And United States Navy sailors look on as warplanes burn. Photographs like these shocked and frightened Americans who wondered if the Empire of Japan would attack their cities and neighborhoods. And so we come to our primary sources about wartime and panic and discrimination. And we have some vocabulary words to begin with. Military, the armed forces of a country, such as the Army, Navy, and Coast Guard, or members of these forces. Loyal, being faithful and supportive. Disloyal, failing to be loyal. Spies, people who try secretly to get information about a country or organization. Illegal, against the law. Legal, allowed by law. Wartime panic and discrimination. On the early morning of Sunday, December 7th, 1941, military warplanes from the Empire of Japan dropped bombs on the United States Navy base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. More than 2,000 Americans died. Bombs damaged or destroyed 21 United States warships and 323 warplanes. When Japanese Americans learned about the bombing of Pearl Harbor, they were shocked like other Americans. But they were also nervous about what would happen to them. They feared that the United States government would not trust them because of their Japanese ancestry. And they were right. Hours after the bombs exploded, Government officials arrested leaders in the Japanese American communities. Priests at Buddhist temples, editors of newspapers, presidents of clubs, even though they had done nothing wrong. Hatred and discrimination against Issei and Nisei grew because they looked like the enemy. It did not make a difference that Nisei were American citizens, born and educated in the United States. We have our primary sources, including a cover of a newspaper. After the bombing of Pearl Harbor, the United States declared war on the Empire of Japan and entered the global conflict known as World War II. The Empire of Japan had sided with Germany and Italy, and the United States was now sided with China, France, the Soviet Union, and the United Kingdom. The Japanese-American owner of this store in Oakland hung the "I am an American" sign the day after Pearl Harbor was bombed. He wanted to show that he was loyal to the United States, not to the Japanese Empire. In this painting, artist Henry Sugimoto shows a government agent taking an Issei man away from his family's farm. Agents arrested thousands of Issei men because the government feared they might be spies. Their families had no idea where they were jailed. Many of the arrested men did not see their families for months. Love and the law. At the time Fred and Ida were dating, it was unusual for people of different races to date. In California and most states, it was illegal for a white person to marry someone of a different race. In 1909, Gunjiro Aoki, an Issei, wanted to marry his white girlfriend, Helen Gladys Emery. When Gunjiro visited Helen at her home in Corte Madera, California, a mob of angry white people threw bricks and shouted that they would cover him with tar and feathers. The couple had to go to Washington to get married. Many years later, Gunjiro's great-niece, Brenda Wong Aoki, uncovered their story and wrote a play about it. People of different races could not legally marry across the United States until 1967. And we have our timeline. 1937, Empire of Japan invades China. 1940, Fred tries to join the military. 1941, December 7th, Empire of Japan attacks Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. December 8th, United States declares war on Empire of Japan. 1967, United States Supreme Court rules that people of different races can legally marry. And so that is the end of chapter 4. Please go to the link in the description below and purchase your own copy of this incredible book, Fred Korematsu Speaks Up. Thank you so much for reading along.